Have you ever noticed some older people still look healthy, they still care for themselves, but then one day they quietly pass away without a single word of farewell? No accident, no obvious illness. It's just they became lonely. Yes, you heard that right. Loneliness isn't a fleeting emotion. It's a silent killer taking the lives of millions of older adults every single year. According to many recent studies in the United States, living alone can be as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It may sound unbelievable, but it's true. And what's even more dangerous is this. Most of us, possibly including you, don't realize we're living in a state of loneliness because it doesn't show up clearly. It just silently weakens the spirit, making us gradually lose our inspiration for living, and then it steals our health in the cruelest way. I know you've probably thought, I'm used to living alone, or I don't want to bother my children. But please hold that thought, because independence doesn't mean isolation. No one deserves to go through old age in silence and coldness. Behind that silence could be sadness, despair, and the growing risk of a stroke, depression, or heart disease. Today's video isn't meant to scare you. On the contrary, I want to present evidence, real stories, and some gentle advice, so you can proactively identify loneliness in your own life. Most importantly, it's about finding simple yet powerful ways to erase the feeling of being forgotten. We'll delve into 5 dangerous ways that loneliness affects older adults, from depression and memory decline, to heart disease, a weakened immune system, and even a shorter lifespan. But don't worry, because after each part, I'll suggest small actions to help you reconnect. Not with the big world out there, but with your own heart and the people around you. And if you're watching this video, I invite you to stay until the end. Because the 5th point, the final reason, is something most older adults never expect. Yet it's the silent cause that makes them leave this life so much sooner. If you feel this topic is important, please like the video and subscribe to continue this journey with me. And now let's begin the first part, where loneliness begins to sow its most dangerous seeds in our minds. Warning. 1. Increased risk of depression and anxiety. Depression in older adults doesn't always show up with tears or complaints. Sometimes it's just a quiet gaze through the window. It's a cold meal you can't be bothered to reheat. It's the TV left on all day just to feel less empty in the house. Does any of that sound familiar? Loneliness isn't a matter of being sad for a few minutes. It's a prolonged psychological state that gradually weighs on your mind, making you tired without even knowing why. Psychologists call it silent depression. And the truth is, older adults living alone have double the risk of depression compared to those with family nearby. Lewis, a 78-year-old Marine veteran in Oregon, once shared, "I have a house, a pension, but my wife is gone. My kids are busy. I can't remember the last time I had a real conversation." At first, he thought it was just a little sadness. But then he stopped wanting to leave the house, stopped calling anyone, and his sleep became fitful and restless. No one thought a man once so strong would fall to something so seemingly invisible: loneliness. Recent studies from the National Institute on Aging in the United States show that social isolation significantly increases levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, in the blood. When these levels stay high for a long time, cortisol disrupts sleep, reduces serotonin, a key neurotransmitter for mood stability, and from there, chronic depression and anxiety take root. Worse, many older adults don't realize they're falling into depression. They just feel tired, irritable, sleepless, and think it's a normal part of getting old. But you know what? That isn't aging. That's your soul being suffocated by unresolved solitude. Loneliness also steals the joy from life. It makes you hesitate to go outside, no longer interested in things that once brought you happiness, from gardening, calling an old friend, to taking a walk in the afternoon sun. And the more you withdraw, the tighter the grip of depression becomes. But the good news is, you can start to break it, starting with very small things. Try calling an old friend, send a handwritten card, join an activity at your local community center, or simply chat with a neighbor while watering your plants. Every connection, however small, is a lifeline pulling you out of the silent darkness of depression. Remember, you don't have to be happy. all the time. But you also don't deserve to be lonely every day. And if you feel your spirit sinking, don't keep it inside. Please share, please speak up, because only when you bravely acknowledge your loneliness can you open the door to finding that peaceful light in your soul again. Warning 2 causes memory and cognitive decline. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in, or paused mid-sentence, suddenly forgetting a familiar name? Those moments sound normal. It happens to everyone. But if you're living alone, with no one to talk to each day, no one to occasionally stir up old memories, then please be careful, because that might not be just forgetfulness, but a sign of silent cognitive decline taking hold. Loneliness, which seems to only affect our emotions, is actually deeply connected to the cognitive health of older adults. Many studies at Harvard University and the United States Alzheimer's Center have proven that older people living in isolation experience memory decline. 1. 5 times faster than those who are socially active. The reason is surprising. The brain is a mental muscle. It needs exercise, challenges, and connection to stay sharp. And the amazing thing is, a simple conversation can activate a whole network of brain regions responsible for memory, attention, and language. When you don't talk with anyone, don't share your feelings, or lose interest in learning new things, these brain regions get lazy, and then gradually they weaken. Paul, 81 years old, lived alone after his wife passed away. At first, he still remembered his grandchildren's birthdays, read the paper, and did crosswords. But then, the silent days with no one to respond to left him feeling like he was drifting in a void. He forgot his favorite foods, forgot to turn off the stove, and then he got lost more than once in the same neighborhood he'd lived in for decades. Finally, his doctor diagnosed him with mild cognitive impairment, a pre-Alzheimer's stage. That's not just heartbreaking, it's also a wake-up call. Your memory doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes gradually when you live in silence for too long. When no one asks, Awahan, how was your day? When no one reminds you, you told me that story already. When there is no reason to recall the past or learn something new, then your brain starts to forget how to remember. But here is the hopeful part. Your mind can be reawakened if you can spark that connection again. A painting class, a game of dominoes with neighbors, a community group, or even just a daily morning phone call. Those activities seem small, but they are like mental gymnastics for the brain, helping you hold on to your memory, language skills, and mental sharpness. And if you feel you're becoming more forgetful, don't just blame it on getting it older. Instead, ask, how long has it been since you shared a story, heard someone's laugh, learned something new? Sometimes what you need isn't a brain supplement. It's a person to remember with, to laugh with, and to live each present moment fully. Warning 3 increases risk of cardiovascular disease. Here's something many people don't realize. Loneliness doesn't just break your heart emotionally. It also silently damages your heart. Literally. Did you know that feeling isolated and disconnected can increase your risk of a heart attack and stroke? The American Heart Association once published a shocking statistic. Older adults living in solitude have up to a 29% higher risk of heart disease and a 32% greater risk of stroke. And this isn't about feelings. This is physiology. When you live in a state of prolonged isolation, your body produces more stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones increase your heart rate, raise your blood pressure, cause abnormal blood vessel dilation, and disrupt your autonomic nervous system. This condition, if it continues, is like living with constant low-grade anxiety, making your heart work overtime with no end in sight. Helen, a retired teacher living in California, was once healthy and active, but after her best friend died from cancer, she gradually withdrew. No more morning walks, no more chats over coffee. She thought she was okay. Until one morning she fainted while watering her plants. At the hospital, doctors found her blood pressure had spiked and she had signs of myocardial ischemia. The reason? No pre-existing conditions, no specific stress, just prolonged loneliness. Loneliness doesn't cause heart disease overnight, but it gradually weakens your heart in ways you can't see but can definitely feel. Unexplained fatigue, brief chest pains, shortness of breath, climbing stairs, or persistent insomnia. The greatest danger is when older adults bottle up their emotions. They don't complain, they don't share, they just silently endure, holding their sorrows inside, and that is what deeply wounds the heart. So how can the heart begin to heal? Not just with medication, but with connection. A hug from a loved one, a weekly check-in call, a small prayer group at church, an outdoor concert with friends. Those moments don't just bring you joy, they literally help regulate your heart rate, lower your blood pressure, and reawaken positive life signals from deep inside your body. The heart doesn't just beat for blood, it beats for the presence of others in your life. If you find yourself living long days with no one checking in, no one needing you, please don't treat that as normal. Your heart, no matter how strong, needs love to keep going. And today, if you can, be the one to start. Call someone, invite a neighbor for tea, write a letter, because nobody knows you're in need if you don't open up. If you're still here and finding this helpful, let me know by leaving the number 3 in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so and turn on notifications so you don't miss our new videos. Your support helps us create more useful and inspiring content. Warning 4, weakens the immune system. Do you ever notice you get colds that linger, have unexplained headaches, or a small cut takes forever to heal? If you are living alone with little contact with others, it's very possible the cause isn't the weather or your age. It's the feeling of loneliness silently weakening your immune system. That's right, loneliness isn't just an emotion. It is a real biological factor that directly impacts your body's defenses. Scientists at Carnegie Mellon University found that older adults experiencing loneliness may produce fewer active white blood cells, the first line of defense against bacteria and viruses. They also have higher levels of inflammatory proteins, a sign the body is under chronic stress and the immune system isn't working effectively. Simply put, when you feel isolated, your brain triggers a defense mode, as if you are under constant threat. This state makes your body use its energy to stay on guard, instead of using that energy for repair, recovery, and fighting off illness. Frank, 80 years old and living in Ohio, was once a healthy man, but after his wife passed away, he became withdrawn. Soon after, he started getting colds more often, his arthritis worsened, and a diabetic ulcer healed much more slowly. His doctor couldn't find a specific cause, only that he lived with constant stress and lacked social connection. No one was mean to him, no one disliked him, but no one checked in or gave him a hug either. His body grew weaker because his soul hadn't felt warmth in so long. You see, the immune system isn't just fed by supplements or healthy foods. It's nourished by the feeling of being cared for, welcomed, and connected. A smile from an acquaintance in the park, a short morning call, a handshake. These are enough to lower stress hormones and help your immune cells work better. Loneliness makes your body think, no one needs me anymore. And when it feels you are not needed, your body also begins to stop fighting. That is why people who live in solitude often get sick more easily, become sicker, and recover more slowly. But you can change that. Starting today, rekindle even the smallest connections. Send a text to a relative, sign up for a free class at the local library, or simply step outside and sit in a park where people are around. You don't have to say much. Just being present in a living space starts sending your body the signal, I still belong to this world. And the amazing thing is, when you feel you're no longer alone, your body starts wanting to be healthy again. Warning 5, shortens your lifespan. Have you ever heard the phrase, no one dies of loneliness, they just pass away in silence? That phrase sounds like a comfort, but modern science has proven it is a grim reality. Loneliness doesn't just make you sadder. It doesn't just make you weaker. It actually shortens your life. A 7-year study by Brigham Young University followed over 300,000 older adults in America. The results were clear. People living in isolation had a 26% higher risk of dying than those who maintained social connections. That figure, is even higher than the risk from obesity and nearly on par with smoking cigarettes every day. Loneliness in that sense is a silent killer. It doesn't arrive with a weapon or an accident. It eats away at you day by weakening your heart, diminishing your memory, crippling your immunity, and extinguishing your will to live. The story of Judith, 82 years old, is a powerful example. After her husband died, she moved to a nursing home at her children's suggestion. It was well-equipped, clean, and safe. But none of the staff had time for long chats with her. She had no old friends, no one who called her name in a familiar voice. Within 2 years, she lost weight, suffered from chronic insomnia, and was diagnosed with late-stage pancreatic cancer. Her doctor couldn't pinpoint the cause, but her daughter said, "I don't think my mother died from cancer. I think she died because she felt no one needed her anymore." You might not believe it, but your body does. Every day lived without connection is a day you lose a piece of your life force, that invisible but essential energy. Loneliness also affects your daily routines. You might skip meals because no one is there to eat with, or forget medication because there's no one to remind you, or avoid exercise because no one asks you to go. And all those small habits add up, becoming the pieces that cut short the time you have left. Conversely, just one meaningful relationship, a neighbor, a grandchild on a weekly video call, or a small hobby group, can extend your life in amazing ways. Because when you feel heard, needed, and loved, your body chooses to stick around longer. If you're asking yourself, am I just taking up space? Please remember, you still have so much value to offer. Your life experience, your memories, your kindness, and your warm presence are still things someone needs. You aren't invisible, and this life is still wide open if you are willing to reach out first. Start today. Say hello to the mail carrier, text an old friend, join a book club, spend an afternoon with your grandchild telling old stories. Each of those connections, no matter how small, is adding more life to your years. Because it's not just how long you live, it's how you live. That is what makes your time here meaningful. We have now walked through the 5 serious harms that loneliness causes for older adults. From depression and memory decline, to heart disease, a weakened immune system, and even shortening your life. Each one can unfold silently, day by day, gently, quietly, but the consequences are truly devastating. And the most heartbreaking part is, many people have no idea that the feeling of no one needs me anymore is the very thing that slowly takes their life. But I'm here today not to spread more sadness. I'm here to remind you of one thing. Loneliness is not your destiny. And growing older doesn't mean you have to endure it alone. With just one small decision, to step outside, to pick up the phone, or to simply say hello to a stranger at the store, you've already started to break the cycle of isolation. Your body will notice, your heart will respond, and your lifespan will gradually be extended. So today I want to ask you, what is the smallest thing you can do to reconnect with your life? Write to an old friend, sign up for a class, listen to your grandchild's stories. Just choose one thing, only one, and do it before today is over. Old age doesn't have to be a lonely ending. It is a precious time to live more slowly, more deeply, and closer to yourself and the people around you. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of this video. If anything I said resonated with you, please leave a comment. Share one thing you learned today, or one small action you plan to take. Your sharing doesn't just help you. It could be the light that guides someone else who is quietly feeling the same loneliness you once did. If you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and share. Your simple action helps spread connection, the most precious thing we older adults need right now. I'll see you in the next video. I wish you health, peace, and that you never have to live alone in silence.